post and pointing to the like button that said "Get Wig Pregnant" button, was that sex work on Wig's behalf, giving someone else like media engagement?
No one was getting me pregnant, I promise.
Pregnant button. It was
no sex work occurred.
On Wig's it was impreg Jason. Media engagement.
No one was
No
pregnant.
one was getting me.
Am I posting like porn every time I make an Instagram post and I use the hashtag intellectual thirst trap? Even if it's like there's nothing sexy about the video in any way, Prime, but I hashtag it intellectual thirst trap. Am I just doing porn? Or am I doing sex work, I suppose?
Anything is porn.
Yeah, that part's true. But like I said, like
Now that part's true. But like I said, the point of being to titillate someone's sexually, right?
and like
But what if I do hashtag funny and it makes people feel a little bit more comfortable?
Like,
understand how a hashtag affects it. But I'm saying is that like you can try to keep like absurdist that's all I'm saying that at the edges, sure, at the extremes, every role falls apart. That doesn't have value.
At the edges, sure.
That's true. That is a
mean the role doesn't have value.
Conversation, but that wasn't like a serious
I understand.
That is a true.
I'll try and steel man
I understand.
theory. Don't necessarily agree with.
I want to try and steel man Prime here.
So Prime, I think what you're trying to say is.
Necessarily agree with him. So Prime, I think what you're trying to say is that if someone is using sexuality to try to gain some sort of remuneration, regardless of what that remuneration is, they're essentially doing sex work because the intent is there and they're using sexuality to gain that.
Yes.
So, and I think one of the problems that we have right now is that sex work is a very difficult thing to define because it's kind of been expanded over time. It includes so many different things in the umbrella these days. Like if you go back 30 years ago, I don't think anybody would have suspected that we would consider like booby streamers to be sex work because we didn't have streamers, let alone booby streamers. But I'm going to kind of put a test to you here. Let's take a bartender, right? This is something that's been going on for decades, right? Bartenders will often, like female bartenders will often wear a low-cut shirt or top because they know that they're going to get better tips from the male patrons when they're doing their work. But they're still just going to do their work in general, and they're going to get tips regardless. But they know they're going to get better tips. And oftentimes bartenders, even like lesbian bartenders, will do this, knowing that they're going to get better tips from the male patrons. Would you consider that to be sex work?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So, do you agree though that it's a difficult thing to draw a line on? It's like a very fuzzy and kind of indistinct line.
Yes, and that's the point, right? The reason why I created this idea like years ago, right? Is because exactly that we were talking about sex work, right? But then we were trying to figure out, okay, where is the line, right? Like, at what point is it not sex work, right? So, like, yes, there's like, full access or escorting, right? Like actual having sex with a person, right? But then there's camming. Is camming sex work, even though like there's no full exchange, but still you're trying to like get some sort of remuneration. You're using your sexuality in that case, right? Is that sex work? And then we move on. Okay, well then what about the booby streamers, right? Like the top isn't off, but like they're trying to do literally the exact same thing, and you just keep going down, and you realize that at some point people use their bodies, right, or like whatever, not necessarily even their bodies. That's another thing, but like still, they use their bodies, right, to gain these advantages. We at some point, like you're making an arbitrary distinction, right? Like we can do this experiment with Erided, right? She's been tossing all these hypotheticals at me, but I could toss hypotheticals at her, and we can run her down, and eventually, right, she's going to have to make an arbitrary distinction that this is not sex work, and then this is. I'm blowing that away. That's what I'm doing.
He's
Also,
being
Are you
consistent for
blowing that
sure.
away? Is
He's doing
that
the-
sex work?
Yes.
He's doing that. He's doing that. Like,
yes, I
I'm
am.
being so consistent that I'm like, I'm accepting the absurd. There's like this thing that I think happens a lot in like debate spaces where like we die on the hill of being consistent, and I think consistency is a really, really good heuristic. And I don't think being inconsistent is a good idea. But I think sometimes when you're like consistency leads you to a position where essentially like what you're saying out loud is absurd. And like 98% of listeners would be like, that's an absurd thing to say. I think that's where like we start falling into, right? Like I think we have words for these things. Is the line of between where it's like flirting and sex work gray? Yeah, I would totally agree that it's like going to be fuzzy and gray at the edges. The issue is that I wouldn't scale it all the way back to things that we have words for, like flirting, right? Like social tit for tat. And like sexual tension and sexual innuendo should just now also just be sex work, because then it's like then sex work doesn't mean anything. It's not like a meaningful distinction. And when we're talking about sex work, by and large, we're making a pretty meaningful distinction, even though there are going to be edge cases of like if you trade topless walking around cleaning for less rent, is that sex work? I'd say like, yeah, there's a monetary exchange between like two consensual adults that's explicitly sexual, and she wouldn't be doing the sexual thing if she didn't have the direct financial incentive to do so. Whereas me flirting with somebody, I am making a probabilistic guess that they might like me more, or a more positive exchange might occur, but I'm not necessarily assuming that it will. The moment that we like fall into this like probabilistic nature of like fundamental social exchanges, that's why I just like now we're just not in sex work anymore.
No. I'm going to reach out to you. I'm going to push back against you, and I'm going to reach out to you at the same time. One,
and after that, let me test
I
it a little
think.
further.
Let me just finish
for it,
this,
go for
and
it.
then I would love to. Yeah, sure.
And just to be clear, in 14
one,
minutes, we are turning on to the Venezuelan.
Sure.
Well,
And I'll be gone.
not
No.
we don't know if it's Venezuela announcement. You know what I mean? But go ahead.
Hopefully I don't forget my points. But one, I would agree with you that maybe this definition isn't like super great for like regular conversation, right? But I think like this would be like a more an academic.
I don't. No.
Okay.
This is the issue. I don't think it's descriptive or prescriptive. And once something is both non-descriptive and non-prescriptive,
then I will
now we're in the
that.
territory of like uselessness.
And we're not. Then I'm
there's
not
no
reaching out to you. Then I take back that statement. I'm not reaching out to you, but I'm going to say something any which way, right? I think that we have like academic terms, right? That we use in academia that when they escape to the wild, right? People think these things are absurd, like the academic definition of racism, right? We've had many discussions about exactly that, right? But that doesn't mean that that term within that space, in the space where we're discussing these things, isn't useful, that it doesn't have value. And I think the same thing for what I'm defining here as well, right? Maybe in like regular conversations, we don't use that. I don't use this in regular conversations.
Just an announcement. U.S. Air Force assets are currently launching from various air bases in the United States. The Venezuelan F-16s just went airborne. We might be popping off right now.
Nobody lives in Florida, do they?
So, but yeah,
Right,
I love being in a fucking motel in Phoenix.
But then also, I want to finish my point, and then we can talk about it. But like, no problem, right? But also talking about like, hey, when you use this definition, right? All of a sudden, like, sex work has no meaning. I disagree, right? When anyone says sex work, right, that doesn't actually tell you that much, right? In the way you use it, right? When someone says sex work, that doesn't tell you that much. The next question is,
tells you a lot. Tells you a lot.
No, it doesn't. So the next question.
Most people understand that there's probably some level of financial exchange going on for a sexual type of act in some form that the person would otherwise not be doing. Yeah. Flirting is not a sexual act. There is not like a
definition term. Good thing it's part of my definition. Anyway.
Sorry. Yes. Let's talk about this. It's very important on the brink of war.
You can then ask for more information, right? We already have these subcategories, right? We have cam work, we have escort, and we have stripping, right? We already have these parts, right? The sex work can be a superset, right? And then within that superset, we can discuss the specific category that you're in. That's what we do all the time with terms.
Okay.
I understand how categorization and philosophy works. Yes.
Okay, I am at this point going to
misusing it.
I'm going to at this point. We're going to transition
let's talk about war, baby.
We're going to talk about the peace president. The president of peace is likely, and it's looking more and more likely based on the information I'm seeing, that we are currently going to be engaged in military strikes, specifically against the Venezuelan government. look, I'll say this. I am not someone who is against, in all cases, military intervention or regime change even. I think there are cases where, and there are arguments that can be made, where in certain instances this is the thing that we should do. It would be the moral choice and the strategic choice for our country. But when it comes to Venezuela, I see no moral argument and I see no strategic argument. I don't think that we will get from this exchange anything worth the cost of putting our servicemen and women's lives on the line and killing enemy combatants in this. I do not think this is worth it, and I am entirely opposed to any military intervention within Venezuela. I do want to hear the rest of you and your opinions, and I want to start with Stardust here, and then I want to hear, we'll just go around. What do you think?
I am just waiting to hear more information. I don't know that I have an opinion right now on anything. I will say I saw a tweet about Marco Rubio pacing and looking very unhappy while he's pacing. So I do think that's funny. That's all I have to say right now.
What do you got for us, Prime? Thoughts?
I mean, he would be pacing because, this is the third step in all his dreams coming true, which would be the overthrow of the Cuban government. Yeah, so he's nervous with nervous excitement. Marco Rubio is pacing. Beyond that, I think this is wrong. I'm against U.S. imperialism altogether. I'm against violence against an actor who's done nothing wrong
it's like Mr. Moon,
to us, certainly. But also, I'm just more amused by Wick, right? And where he does and doesn't draw the line in military engagements. I mean, he was fine with us supporting a genocide, right? But now, right, we hit a few Venezuelan boats, and that's too much, right? But in any case, right? Still, with his larger point, if I ignore his blatant hypocrisy, I would say that. I'm against this. I think Trump is a complete hypocrite, but that also doesn't matter because conservatives don't give a shit about hypocrisy ever in all this. So, I guess people are going to die now.
I will not take the bait because I want to hear what other people think, but I disagree with your framing my position. Erudite, what do you think? Oh, you're muted, Erudite.
Yeah, sorry, I stepped away. I had to run to the bathroom while you were talking, so I'm gonna have to I didn't. Okay. I'm not.
That's fine.
Tracking the conversation.
Yeah. We're just asking opinions on Venezuela, the Venezuelan strikes. What are your thoughts?
I think if you're gonna go to war, you should probably start by going through Congress. And the fact that he's not even going through Congress suggests to me that he knows that it's a big old problem. I also don't understand it. I think war when it occurs is the worst possible outcome of horrific tragic situations, and I just don't see any evidence that we are there with Venezuela in any world. I don't even know what this is I don't think the fentanyl situation is going to be solved by this, and I don't think that this is good.
I mean, it's a complete red herring to your point, right? The fentanyl is not coming from Venezuela. That's an out and out lie. They just made that up and using it as the poorest excuse. And just quickly to add on to what Erudite was saying is that she said I think
finish everybody else's input first.
Sorry, that's okay. Sorry. I apologize.
Okay. Speaking of input, Zonia, I guess you wanted to speak up, so give us your thoughts.
I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys knew this, but prostitution is legal in Venezuela, and STIs are WMDs. So clearly, we need to bomb the shit out of them.
There you go.
But no, on a serious note, without the backing of Congress, I have a feeling that this is probably going to lose him a lot of support. In addition to, we overall, even though MAGA is pretty much, they're on the Kool-Aid, I don't think this is going to be a popular move. So I think overall he's going to lose a lot of support through this. There's going to be a lot of questions about this on the global stage. There's going to lose a lot of support. And he's already had a popularity problem lately. So we're going to have to ride this wave out. And there's a lot of authoritarianism in his government that is going to make things difficult. But with an overwhelming wave of lack of support, this may shift tides and make things more difficult administration to continue onward. We'll see. I'm hoping that is what the result of it is, but who knows? Maybe with the overwhelming authoritarian moves that it's making, maybe it'll react like a cornered dog or something.
Okay. Puffin Master.
It's obviously like naked hypocrisy. What I'm struggling with is I don't fully know Trump's like state of mind on this. Like clearly the drugs are the excuse, probably, right? He's probably going to say something about funneling fentanyl into the U.S., but like, what is his actual goal? Like, I don't know what that is, and maybe I'm just not educated on this, but like, I don't see a game plan here. It just seems like chaos for chaos's sake.
I think there's a plan, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, Alish.
Oil. The only thing I can think of is like the oil, but like it's not like they have so much oil that we like need to take it.
Well, the two excuses.
You might want to destroy Maduro by destroying the oil situation. Sorry.
Just real quick though, just real quick. The two excuses that the administration has given has been the fentanyl and the drugs.
Yeah, whatever.
Right?
Yeah, I don't
and the second one that they have given much more recently is that, and I want to quote here, that Venezuela has stolen U.S. land, oil, and property. And that they're going to get them back.
Yeah. But like the other, if you're talking about actual plans, sorry, I want to wait till Alish goes.
Yeah. But that's the official line, right? That this is we're going to war to get our stolen land and oil and property back. That's the
unofficial
line.
is Cuba.
Yeah.
But
Alish, go ahead.
All right.
And if you got a camera, turn it on, please.
Okay. Hold on. There we go. Hi.
Hi. What's your thoughts?
Hello.
Oh my God. You don't even. Okay, so let's go. First of all, you know that this entire thing was started over an executive order that Trump put out designating these people as a terrorist group.
Gesundheit.
Oh my God, I'm not on TikTok, so I don't have to like censor myself. They designated the drug smugglers as a terrorist group, which gave him the authority to strike them, to drone strike them in the first place. By the way, they've never proven where the boats are coming from, where they're going to, how they're getting in the country, what's even on the boats, and what is it, like a 75% rate that they're actually actively striking these boats? Is that like the
Well, that's based on a report that Rand Paul put out, showing that the Coast Guard, in their 200 boat interdictions, about 25% of the boats that they targeted to interdict that they suspected of having drugs did not, in fact, have drugs on them.
Yeah, so they have a 75% success rate on this intel. It's supposed to be, super secret, but yet they can't tell us who's doing it. They can't give us the name of the group that's smuggling the drugs. They can't give us the name of the gang that's bringing it in, who is the distributor domestically, because it's not like they're just blowing the drugs into the country as a WMD. So, by the way, not even like, oh, God. This gets me all worked up because the fact that they're even classifying this as a WMD is absolutely absurd to me.
And just to be clear, I am watching the live of the address, and when that starts, I'm going to cut you all off, and we're going to watch that. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to bounce,
Okay,
but
so
like,
yeah, see you later.
Cut me off, great.
Yeah.
Great. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Last words, Brian.
Yeah, just quickly.
Yeah.
I think, and like maybe people wouldn't understand this point when I was making it, but like Marco Rubio, right? I'm bringing Bob up. No, I think this is actually part of his master plan to isolate Cuba. Like Venezuela is a well-known supporter of the Cuban regime, and this is part of the greater isolation. But Erudite, was correct, that all the excuses given so far are complete BS, right? Obviously, also there's oil, right? Also there's the robbing of resources, but there's other places we can rob as well, right? But like we have a Secretary of State whose his entire political project, right, has been bringing down the Cuban regime, right? Like given this was bequeathed to him by his parents, who got butthurt because they got tossed out, right? But this is his whole game, so I don't think we should like forget that. Like this like affects the Cuban endgame.
I think part of this may also be there may be a strategy in there about the security of wartime presidents. That could also be a discussion going on.
The security of wartime presidents. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, so historically with wartime presidents, they're fairly secure in the elections and being able to sustain during elections.
Now just I'm sorry.
Popularity.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to cut you off because otherwise I'll forget this thread. I think that you're onto something here, but I don't think it's the security of their elections and how popular they're going to be. I think that in this case, being officially at war in Trump's mind could give him powers that he does not have during peacetime that he could use, and this is all speculation, gang, that he could use in order to get some things done domestically that he couldn't.
Yeah,
otherwise.
if it's officially war, but that's something
don't
that
think
gets designated
Congress
by
will approve it.
Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can
If he's
make a better
going
argument that they're at a
into-
state of emergency than they
if
could
he's
without this.
going- Yeah, because if he's going into an armed conflict, it's not necessarily war without Congress declaring it so. So you can't declare wartime powers without Congress backing, right?
Yes, but being at armed conflict, even without Congress's blessing, would grant him a better argument to the Supreme Court and to other lower courts that they are in a state of emergency and emergency powers that he has that he could bring up, would give him better
It gets him closer.
They're not on ours.
It gets him closer. It definitely gets him closer.
Do you think
If he had managed to get Congress behind this, then absolutely I would be saying, yeah, wartime powers and wartime president security.
He invoked the Alien Enemies Act to get to start deporting Venezuelans with like much less due process. Like, do you think he's literally just like it's something as simple as just facilitate just lubricating that process by just throwing some
Alive.
Oh, it said we're live. I think.
I'm not seeing it on my end.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, we're live. I'm gonna fuck off.
Okay, I'll see
you guys.
Also, you want to change the. So it's live.
Oh, here we go.
Are
Here
you
we go.
taking us
Okay.
all out, Wick?
Also, Wick, your live stream still says sex
And some would
work
say
panel.
in
I
the
don't know if you
history
can
of
change
our
that if you
country,
want to.
which caused prices to be
Okay, sorry.
higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people, many who came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than...
This is incredible. Oh, it's in such good condition.
Because there are large antiques in your area, there are drivers in your area. Uber.
Crime at record levels, with law enforcement and words such as that just absolutely forbidden. We had the worst trade deals ever made, and our country was laughed at from all over the world. But they're not laughing anymore. Over the past 11 months, we have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in American history. There's never been anything like it, and I think most would agree. I was elected in a landslide, winning the popular vote and all 7 swing states and everything else, with a mandate to take on a sick and corrupt system that really just took the wealth from people and crushed the dreams of the American people. For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and above all, foreign nations, which took advantage of us at levels never seen before. They flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings. They indoctrinated your children with hate for America. They just released a level of violent felons that we had never seen to prey on innocent. They caused war. They caused mayhem. They caused a horrible situation all over the globe. But now you have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hardworking people of our country, the ones who make this nation run, who make this nation work. And after just 1 year, we have achieved more than anyone could have imagined. Starting on day one, I took immediate action to stop the invasion of our southern border. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed to enter our country, a feat which everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed Congress to pass legislation to help close the border? He was always blaming Congress and everyone else. As it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border
in the
history of our country. In other words, in a few short months, we went from worst to best. We're deporting criminals, restoring safety to our most dangerous cities. Just take a look at Washington, D.C. It's at levels of safety that we've never seen before. And they decimated the bloodthirsty foreign drug cartels. We did that all by ourselves with our people, and we're so proud of it because they were poisoning and destroying our population. Drugs brought in by ocean and by sea are now down 94%. We have broken the grip of sinister woke radicals in our schools, and control over those schools is back now in the hands of our great and loving states where education belongs. After rebuilding the United States military in my first term, and with the addition we are adding right now, we have the most powerful military anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the nuclear threat, and ended the war in Gaza, bringing for the first time in 3,000 years peace to the Middle East, and secured the release of the hostages, both living and dead. Here at home, we're bringing our economy back. Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22% and in many states 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now, under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast. Democrat politicians also sent the cost of groceries soaring, but we are solving that too. The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was down 33% compared to the Biden last year. The price of eggs is down 82% since March, and everything else is falling rapidly. And it's not done yet, but boy, are we making progress. Nobody can believe what's going on. Here are just some of the efforts that we have underway. You will see in your wallets and bank accounts in the new year. After years of record-setting falling incomes are, very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history, and 100% of all jobs created since I took office have been in the private sector. Think of that. 100% of all jobs have been in the private sector rather than government, which is the
I don't even know what that
only way
means.
to make a country powerful and great. This historic trend will continue. Already, I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wage increases, growth, factory openings, and far greater national security. Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been used successfully by other countries against us, but not anymore.
Not
Foreigners know
anymore.
that if they build in America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record numbers. They're building factories and plants at levels we haven't seen, AI, automobiles. We're doing what nobody thought was even possible, not even remotely possible. There has never, frankly, been anything like it. 1 year ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. And that's said by every single leader that I've spoken to over the last 5 months. Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time. Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military.
What happened to the $2,000 checks for everybody?
We now have record enlistment in our military, and last year we had among the worst recruitment numbers in our military's history. What a difference a year makes. In addition, I'm doing what no politician of either party has ever done, standing up to the special interests to dramatically reduce the price of prescription drugs. I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations, which were taking advantage of our country for many decades, to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%. In other words, your drug costs will be plummeting downward, and I used the threat of tariffs to get foreign countries who would never have done it to pay the cost of this giant dollar reduction. They stopped ripping us off, and it began as of 4 days ago. There has never been anything like this in the history of our country. Drugs have only gone up, but now they'll be going down by numbers never conceived possible. It's called Most Favored Nation, and no president has ever had the courage or ability to get this done until now. The first of these unprecedented price reductions will be available starting in January through a new website, TrumpRx.gov. And these big price cuts will greatly reduce the cost of health care. I'm also
I bet you it doesn't.
the gigantic health insurance companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of money that should go directly to the people. The money should go to the people. That's you. So they can buy their own health insurance, which will give far better benefits at much lower costs. It will be far better health insurance. The current Unaffordable Care Act was created to make insurance companies rich. It was bad health care at much too high a cost, And you see that now in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding those increases, and it's their fault. It is not the Republicans' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people. So
This is disgusting.
You get much better health care at a much lower price. The only losers will be insurance companies that have gotten rich, and the Democrat Party, which is totally controlled by those same insurance companies. They will not be happy, but that's okay with me, because you, the people, are finally going to be getting great health care at a lower cost. Another major focus is the cost of energy. For years, the radical left Democrats exploited the green energy scam as an excuse to funnel many billions of dollars into their own massive slush funds, as their energy restrictions drastically drove up prices, and they drove them up at record levels. Electricity costs surged 30 to 100% under Biden, and the typical family lost $5,000 to $10,000 in higher energy costs. Think of that, $5,000 to $10,000 you lost. On day one, I declared a national energy emergency. Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in much of the country. In some states, it, by the way, just hit $1.99 a gallon. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, a record, and it's a record that won't be beaten by practically, I would say, by anybody, or certainly not very soon. Prices on
This is all bullshit, by the way. All bullshit.
Disaster. Again, the worst in the history of our country, also robbed millions of Americans of home ownership and indeed the American dream. The yearly cost of a typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule. In 11 months, we've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000, and it's coming down a lot lower. Wait till you see. The numbers are going to be shocking. And I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot, and mortgage payments will be coming down even further. Early the new year, and you will see this, in the new year, I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. A major factor in driving up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing, while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed. Over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens, 100%. In the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But not anymore, and you see that every day, not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again. Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down. Our nation is strong. America is respected. And our country is back, stronger than ever before. We're poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got. But most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. There could be no more fitting tribute to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before. To each and every one of you, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you all.
Boy, that is some old bullshit. If I have ever heard it. That is some old bullshit.
You all.
Okay. I feel that was a waste of everyone's time.
Yep. Wick is right.
Waste of my goddamn time. Who in this chat? I know you guys were out there. Show yourselves. Tell us who you are. Saying, please, Wick, watch this with us. Wick, watch
Yeah, that
it
was
live
some
with
old
us.
fucking bullshit.
Ooh, which one of you motherfuckers did that? That was a waste of my time.
That is some.
This could have been an email.
A waste of my goddamn time. Thank you.
It was all lie too.
For the gifted memberships. From
What a fucking joke.
Appreciate you. Gang, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Okay, first of all,
fucking baited.
Yeah, the only actual announcement in there was the Epstein distraction check he's going to cut to the military for $1,776 in order to distract from the Epstein files. But other than that, there was nothing there. It was just a pack of lies.
Yeah.
It was. What happened to the $2,000 stimulus checks that we were supposed to?
Thank you.
Right.
And a Doge check.
Okay, I'm going to let you guys go, but then I'm going to read these super chats, and then we're going to be done. Okay, so I'll see you later, Stardust. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Puffin Master, bye. Alish, bye. Okay. Let me read out these super chats.
Yeah, that was some old bullshit.
Dang. First of all, inflation is up regarding when Biden left office. It was about 2.9. Now it's 3%. Okay, so it's up. Unemployment.
He was probably blocked by Congress. If I'm being honest, he was probably blocked by Congress.
I hope so. Thing is, my mental map of Trump sees him being blocked by Congress and doing it anyway.
Yeah.
I think he's demented. I don't think that he's unless he's just not even the one making these decisions. I don't see him. I see him doing it anyway, and then the Supreme Court going, well, you can't do anything about it. He's the president. This is right. It's just
because, like I said, he was initially doing these Venezuelan strikes via executive order. There was no authority given to him. I mean, I know he doesn't necessarily need authority from Congress to do that, but he used an executive order to justify his actions. And then he further used a additional executive order to designate this drug that we're not even sure is coming in the country as a WMD. I'm sorry, I don't remember the last time you had to actually buy a WMD to put inside of your own body unless people are walking around like tossing it into people's faces and going like pocket sand and then like or putting it in fans and blowing it all around the country. Like what the fuck is he talking about?
So part of the narrative of that, and this is like if you watch those cop shows like NCIS and everything, all the propaganda shows, very consistently there's an episode. Everyone has an episode like this where like someone opens someone's backpack and it has like just a tiny bit of fentanyl in it, and they have to clear the whole building out like it's like anthrax or something. Basically acting like you can get an overdose from fentanyl from like an aerosol like dust from like in another building through the HVAC, right? Like that's probably honestly, I bet that they're kind of leaning on that perspective a little bit for that justification.
Who thinks that?
TV show like so when you were talking about like boomers and like old people that just watch TV, their only contact with fentanyl is going to be TV, and that is the narrative that TV gives.
Sure, I did call some guy earlier today, some boomer ass motherfucker, because he couldn't figure anything out.
Yeah.
I was talking to him earlier because the first thing he said was about the fucking the illegals and the trans, and I was like, all right, you fucking boomer, like, do you have anything substantive to add to this?
It's also like, I think when we're talking about like the rhetoric, so the point is never to say something that's like rock solid, that they're never going to be able to do that. They just want to give people like a prepackaged response that's more difficult to argue against than it is to memorize, right? So like if you're like, we can deconstruct it because like we're more in this space and we're able to like talk, but like if you're at Thanksgiving and your uncle says this shit, what are you gonna, is the typical person gonna be able to have a response to that on the fly?
I mean,
it's goofy.
Yeah. I mean, my dad would, because my dad's
yeah, I mean,
Republican.
I feel like I could, but like most of the people I talk to, like I work with, I talk to, are just not engaged in this stuff. So their goal is for the average person to go, that's too complicated, and to move on with their life. Because if it's clear, if it's salient and clear where it's obviously ridiculous, then they get activated. But if they can't parse it on their own, so the Trump administration's purpose is just to like throw out as many like alternative facts as possible, so that it's hard to discern what's actually happening for the average person. He's doing the exact same thing that Russia does with their propaganda. Like he's taking these cues from literally from Putin's mouth. Honestly.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, all of it was bullshit, and I was like, it's the same thing that Al said. Like, oh, all our military getting $1,776 because it's going so great. Where's my $5,000 Doge check? Where's my $2,000 tariff check? It's going way better than we thought it was, and we're not getting. I mean, good for the. I mean, I guess good for the military folks, but
I've got a friend in the military.
If they get attacked, good for them.
I've got a friend in the army. I'm going to ask him how that resolves, because I feel like there's going to be some bullshit on that. There's going to be like, you have to like only for officers, or like some amount of bullshit that like, because he technically did do like overtime or whatever, that one of those taxes, but like those tax cuts, but like it doesn't like the no tax on tips, right? Like it is so like piss weak that it doesn't matter the way that it was implemented.
Well, the other thing that no one talks about is if you are not taxed on your tips, if you try to get like a mortgage or something, you can't claim all of that as income. Non-taxed income like screws you when you're applying for a mortgage or any kind of loan. Yeah, not non-taxable income. I see it. I mean, I work in finance, so I see it all the time. Especially people that are on like disability and things like that, and trying to get a mortgage. I think a third of it is allowed to be used as income if it's untaxed. And yeah, no one ever thinks about the little things like that. And I've already seen a couple of people get turned down for loans since the no tax on um, no tax on tips so far, and a lot of people are still getting taxed on their overtime. So I think that's also bullshit. But
Or like my company did, and this is what I predicted was going to happen. They just said that we're not doing overtime anymore, right? So they just said, oh, well, in order to do overtime, you need this very specific thing to happen. You need to be approved X amount of days in advance. So they just took away overtime. That's usually how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, my company, we have to, if we go over 40 hours, when we come in the next week, we have to like fill out a report as to why we were there longer than 40 hours and all this. Like most people just go, you know what, I'm just going to clock out at 40 hours so I don't have to deal with the 3 hours of bullshit on Monday.
Exactly. They make it so ridiculous to the point where it's not even worth it to work overtime because the company's going to make you jump through hoops.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, I mean, you still get taxed on it. You just don't get the overtime tax. Instead of the like 27%, or you're still getting taxed 27%, you're just not getting taxed to like 32 or 38%. It's everyone that loves it doesn't understand how taxes works. So
No, they do not. They do not understand how tax works. They don't understand how anything works because for some reason they think that any money that this magical tax on and people who are celebrating this, by the way, don't even work in an industry that would get tax on tips or
right.
tax on overtime. They don't even get this shit, and they're like, "Oh yay, hooray, yippee!" You don't even
literally,
and you're sitting here like pumping your fists. Like, are you kidding
I think
me?
everyone that I saw promoting it, it was just like it was just them attempting to appeal to people listening that were working class. Like they never, because they couldn't explain it in any detail, and they kind of poo pooed any of the like mitigating factors that made it actually not that great. And they just like, well, you just Trump could do anything, and you wouldn't fucking give him credit for it. And it's like, well, I mean, like if you're gonna do like if you're gonna do like something as seemingly impactful as like no tax on tips, it needs to be like it needs to be good enough that people start trying to go into those jobs, right? If you're gonna like it can't be some fucking break a wish shit where it's so like I don't, you know what I'm trying to say.
By the way,
Yeah.
these are the same fucking people. These are the same fucking boomers that will look you dead in the eyes as a fucking server and say, "Get a real job," right? Now they're sitting
Yeah.
here like trying to pat you on the
On
damn back, and like,
Sunday
"Oh,
afternoon,
look what Trump did for you. They gave you no tax on tips."
I'm not
By the
going to
way,
tip
get
no
a real
man
job,
that drinks
loser.
my
Get a
food.
real
well,
fucking
so
job.
these are the fucking boomers that are they're gonna go in your fucking I know these people so fucking well. They're gonna go in on like at 11 a.m. on Sunday after church, and they're gonna think I voted for Trump, so I've already helped this person more than they know, so I don't have to give a good tip.
That's
And they're gonna walk
exactly
out of
it.
there after leaving a fucking $3 tip.
That's exactly it.
They're gonna write Trump for all of this and write it on the check in like their loopy ass illegible
Or one of those
handwriting.
fucking
Oh my god.
one of those fake $100 Trump thing, like the fucking Trump bills.
Yeah.
Oh
I would
my God.
probably like honestly, if I saw that on a Sunday, I would be committing a sin that day. That
I
You remember the little
I'm
church
so done
bills that they
meditating
used to
this.
have?
what?
Go ahead.
They used to have the little church. I don't know if you guys ever worked in restaurants. They used to have the little church that looked like $100 bill, but it was folded in half. And when you opened it up, it just had like a Jesus quote on it, and it made every server hate God that much more every time they got one of those.
Well, it's just it like I swear to God, I working in customer service has made me ageist. I like I think in my like more than 10-year long customer service career, I think I had like maybe 5 millennials that were assholes. It was 5 boomers a day.
Like I had people like scream at me for the most ridiculous things. I worked in a movie theater. And I was like, it's like these people like just come out already pissed off. Like you
I
were
had a, I,
there, you're already in a pissy mood.
I worked at a Subway very briefly, and I had a woman. It was her and her mom, and she was like late Gen X, early Boomer, and her mom was like octogenarian bullshit. And they wanted me to peel the stems off of their spinach.
I had a lady one time come out of a movie theater after her movie and tell me that like, oh, there was somebody in the theater who had a ticking item in their bag. It might be a bomb. You should probably go look at that. I was like, motherfucker, you watch the entire fucking movie and you come out at the end and tell me there's a suspicious bag in there? Are you out of your goddamn
fuck
mind?
that. I'm not going to look in somebody's bag that might have a bomb. The hell with that.
Listen, it was important, but it wasn't important enough for her to get off her ass.
Yeah, she paid $8 for that movie. She's not going to miss parts of that.
Oh my god, like I used to have people who would come out of movies and be like, I watched 75% of the movie, but I didn't like it. I want a refund. I would be like, no, get the fuck out. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, people are nuts.
Did y'all actually care when people snuck food into the movie theaters, or did you just pretend you didn't see it?
No, I didn't care. There were there were like I was a manager, and there were some people that like were like super strict on it, and a lot of times I would just pretend like I didn't. Even as a manager, I'd be like, oh no, and then I would pretend I didn't see it because it's not worth the fight, you know. It's really not even worth the fight.
You didn't have people that would like try to push the limits. Like each time they went to go see a movie, they just brought a bigger dish, and by the end of it, they had like Thanksgiving meals inside the
rotisserie chicken, like a whole rotisserie chicken,
Yeah.
and like a fucking rice cooker.
They're asking for outlets so they can plug it in and cook it while they're watching the movie.
No,
I was kind of impressed by that. But I mean, I never really minded. The only thing that pissed me off was when like they would bring shit in and then leave like all the trash behind. Like if you don't leave the trash behind, then you know who's gonna know? It's like some people have dietary restrictions. It's not fair to them if we like are taking everybody's food. I get it. It's expensive, so it doesn't make any sense to me.
X-Man US. Thank you. Of the
I got kicked out when I was younger. I snuck into an R-rated movie when I was like 16. I bought the ticket, and then like I think they realized that I was way too young for that shit.
X-Man, thank you for stopping by. That's awesome.
I'm falling apart. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm like trying to fall asleep.
Yeah, I need to go to sleep. I have a
All right, I'll see you guys.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Well, that wasn't nearly as explosive as we thought it was. So let's switch to.
What a good evening, everybody. This is a big night.
See if there's more bullshit going on.
The Republican Party just delivered on our promises once again. We passed a big and important health care bill that will bring down the cost of health care.
Yeah, some old bullshit.
Lower Premiums for All Americans Act does exactly what the title suggests. It will reduce premiums for all Americans by, on average, at least 11% overall. And that's just the beginning.
I bet it doesn't.
More to come. More ideas in the first part of next year to bring down the cost of health care. And what the bill did, in addition to that tonight, is it increases the quality of care, the access to care. It gives persons more options, more flexibility in their health care, and also it adds transparency. We had the PBM, Pharmacy Benefit Manager transparency piece to it as well. Now contrast that with the Democrats' COVID-era subsidy that they wanted to extend. That would only impact 7% of Americans. The bill we just passed impacts 100% of Americans. Their version would impact 7% of Americans, and it would cost taxpayers $350 billion. That is not the
This
way
dude's
to
full
reduce
shit.
the cost of health care. The Democrats do not want a solution they just demonstrated because they voted against this bill. They want an issue for the election. It is based on a false narrative. The Democrats broke America's health care system. When they gave us the ACA, the Unaffordable Care Act, 15 years ago, they promised that premiums would come down, that access would increase, and quality of health care would increase.
All that
What
did.
happened?
No, all
This
of
is a
that
failed
happened.
system. Their response right now is to subsidize and continue to shovel taxpayer dollars onto a broken system. We say enough is enough. The Republican Party is the party that is bringing the ideas forward to fix this crisis and fix this problem for everyone. It is a serious problem. We took a big step tonight to do that. We hope that this gets signed into law quickly because it will have the desired effect. We hope
This dude's a fucking dipshit.
In short order. We'll be back.
You can tell he's lying because he keeps looking at the ground every time he talks.
Policy changes to fix the broken healthcare system again that was broken by the Democrats. So I'm glad the Republicans stood together tonight. Big night for us. We'll have another day on the legislative floor.
More bullshit.
We'll probably wind up the year. So I wanted you to have that update.
So will you let the subsidies expire? You're prepared to let the House go home and let the subsidies expire?
They got a sufficient number of signatures on a discharge petition for that subsidy, which is not good policy, as I've just explained. But it's inevitable that it comes to the floor for consideration. I think the 7 legislative days have to toll. That's the rule. There's no way around that. And so it would be on the floor that first week of January when we return. And we said it's not possible to do so. The discharge petition has a...
It is possible.
It cannot be broken. 7 legislative days must expire before it's considered on the floor. They could go by way of a rule to bring it to the floor in regular order, but that rule is not going to pass.
Somebody needs to kick this dude in the teeth.
And that's what the Republican Party...
What a slimy little bitch.
When they get past the false narrative that the Democrats have tried to create.
It means the truth.
And Hakeem Jeffries and the other Democrats are going to try to say, by some stretch of the imagination...
So this is going to be the truth.
...are responsible for the failed healthcare system when Republicans have
there it is.
For that system for 15 years. This is the Democrats' creation. We have to fix it, and that's what we've begun to do now.
He's lying.
To do in the new year.
This is what is called bullshit.
It's not an act of defiance. I understand what
it is.
I understand that every member has a different district with different dynamics and different demographics, and some of them felt like it was a really important thing to have a vote on the floor. I tried very hard, and they will all tell you that I tried very hard over the last several weeks, and even through the weekend, and as late as yesterday, trying to engineer a way for them to have a vote on the floor so they could show that priority. But it was not to be. You know, you've heard all the machinations of how it came about. There's no ill will here. This is not a challenge to the Speaker's leadership. They're using the rules. Here's the reality, everybody. We have a small majority. We have a razor-thin majority, a record small majority. And so things operate differently when you have a small majority. In the old days, a discharge petition would never be used by the majority party or anybody in it because the Speaker had a long stick that he would administer.
All right, this is some straight bullshit.
Because we have a small margin. So
because you a lying little bitch.